Pulp Adventurecon. It's coming up. Hi, I'm Lucille Lovisi, and today I'm serving two purposes. I'm here to remind you about Pulp Adventurecon, which is coming up November 6th. And if you're going to the show, just take note. We're going to list it in the description, but it's in a completely different part of New Jersey. It's in Swedesboro, New Jersey, which is really pretty far down for us, close to Philadelphia. And it's not on Saturday, it's on Sunday. And more notably, if you're in the New York metro area, any of the boroughs, it's the same day as the New York City Marathon. So you're going to have to check roadways, closures, and to see a route if you plan on coming. I know we have, from what I remember from last year, the Verrazano Bridge closes, the top level closes at midnight on Saturday night, and the bottom level closes at 7 a.m. and it doesn't open again until 4 in the afternoon. So if you're planning to come, just make sure you take that into consideration. So, but I wanted to show you some of the things that I'm making, and some of the tchotchkes that I'm making and preparing for the show. Of course, Gary's going to have all of Gryphon books and paperback parades and all that good stuff. But I'm going to bring your attention down to...
I'm going down. Here we go.
This Westlake. So we went to the antiquarian show this year at the Armory show, and Mike Brenner had showed us this really cool puzzle box. It was a vintage puzzle, and it was in a cardboard box that looked like a book, and it opens on both sides like a book, and I loved it, and it was really cool, but it was very expensive, and I would have bought it for Gary, but I know he's not a fan of puzzles, so I just really loved it, and I thought, you know, I think I could do this. So my answer was to make a book box. I chose this really cool Boardman book. And the original
book, with the McLaughlin cover.
Yeah, it opens up on both sides like a book, and the puzzle was on the inside. Here's the puzzle. Now, in the original, there was a little story booklet that came with the puzzle, and I wasn't sure if it was like a murder mystery thing or if it was a storybook or whatever it was. But I wasn't going to write a story, so what I did was I made a journal stemming from my junk journaling craft, which I'll explain to you in a little bit.
Yes, please explain the junk journaling
So I have,
aspect.
This is a puzzle, which is of the cover of this book. So you get that. And this, I made a notebook. So it's a detective crime mystery. I made a notebook as if this book belonged to the detective that is featured in this story. And the notes in this book pertain to the story, Killing Time by Donald Westlake. Now, I also made a cigarette and a book of matches. This book of matches is a New Electric Diner that's actually mentioned in the story. And if you open it up, it's all fake. It's not real. This is not real. It's oregano. But everybody, I noticed that while I was reading through some of these stories, everybody smokes in these stories. So I had to include, to be real, a cigarette and a matchbook. Okay, so you open it up inside. So what I did was I made a synopsis of the story in case you don't know what that story is. And this is right from the blurb in the book, explaining some of the characters and what the story is about. So you have a foundation. And then I made some, ephemera things. This is a business card for one of the businesses in the story. So we'll flip through it quickly. Tim Smith, he's the main character in this story, and this is his business card with an address. So these are some of his notes, and these are notes mentioning some of the people in the story. I have a little pocket here with an address book, and there's actually addresses of people who are mentioned in the story with fake phone numbers. The numbers don't exist.
Incredible.
And he still has shown, some notes like who in Winston wants me dead, and all these notes relate to the story. I don't want to go through the entire thing. It gets a little bit boring. Here's a little fingerprints that he's got to check out. And the funny thing that I think is funny in here anyway is that we all know that, or most of us know, that Donald Westlake wrote some sleaze books that back in the day, the pinks and yellows, I think you call them, right?
Softcore.
There is a reference, and I put 127 because that's the page in the book, that he goes to the chief's house, and he makes a note about red and yellow spine paperbacks in the chief's house. So I was wondering if that is just like a homage to his, sleeves, which is pretty
yellows, yeah.
interesting. And I have, again, more business cards and whatever. So anyway, that's included inside my book. It's not a story per se, but I think it's pretty cool. So then next I did a Black-Eyed Blonde, Earl Stanley Gardner, which I love this cover. It's one of my favorite all-time covers. And I think even, did he do one of these? But I like this one. There's another version of this.
Yeah.
This is the one I love. I love this girl, this version. And so I glued in some things like, you know how you open a book and you always find like a receipt or something. So I wanted to try to recreate that just to make it a little bit more interesting. In the original, it was just plain cardboard. There's nothing like this in there. So then this one opens up. Again, this is a puzzle of the cover of this card. And again, I have my book of matches and my cigarette, which is pretty standard. I have a postcard in there that just is my label that tells you that I made this book. And now this is Earl Stanley Gardner's Perry Mason's notebook. So this would be Perry Mason's notebook. And we have, if you know, Paul Drake was his companion there. We have his postcard.
Private Eye.
This is a synopsis of the story. Here's Perry Mason's business card. And then...
So you made all these business cards. I made everything. You designed all of these. You made them by hand.
I did. This is a bogus, ticket for East Los... it takes place in Los Angeles, in California. And here's a map of the railroads. And it just has, again, information and...
This is what he would have in his notebook.
Right. So he was
cases that he was working on.
That's correct. Here's a note. Paul gives him information, and this is like the note that he would have slipped him. So it's just, that's, I don't want to go.
And the book is here's
a receipt.
Is involved with the story.
Right. It relates to the story. Yeah. So there's that. And now these become very time consuming, and I don't know how much I'm going to charge for these things. I really have no idea if anybody's even interested in them. So I wanted to make a much more simpler thing, more related to the Pulp fans that are going to be there. So I decided I was going to make mini little single fold puzzles for any Pulp fans that might be there. So I'm going to have a whole selection of them. I have Secret Agent X, same thing. It just slides in. So this is much more simpler. It's not as involved. And as you can see, I have quite a few already made. I have some digests, the covers that I really like.
And these are all puzzles.
These are all puzzles. Just
From
puzzles.
pulps, paperbacks, hardcovers.
Right, I have a Runaway Corpse. I have Gorgeous Ghoul. There. Okay, so like I said, I mentioned junk journaling to you. I do something called junk journaling. It's a way to make a journal, but I do themed junk journals. So this is a Jack the Ripper junk journal. It's basically made for somebody to write their journaling notes in it. But I like to make it as if it belongs to the person, to someone else.
So you're junk journaling with purpose.
Jack the Ripper, and that's supposed to be his bloody handprint on the cover. And so you open it up, and all these things have
to do with the murders.
Yeah, it's
Jack the Ripper.
Some of the stuff is from an 1888 newspaper. It's a poem. It's a little cryptic. This is another little journal thing, but there's original art in all of these. I did some illustrations throughout this book. His little memento, he's kept a little earring and a bloody piece of lace from one of the gals. This is an illustration that I did. Here is some blood on this envelope and his wish list of the names of these are the women that he killed. So this is what I did prior to making the detective books. This is also drawn on. And what was the inspiration for me to make those little notebooks? I have, this is a pop-out map, and you're going to see why this is important in a second, and how it relates to the Pulp show. So it's just all little things that I did, little tags and stuff, and it's meant for you to just write your own notes. This is an illustration, and that's it. And anyway,
and the case looks like leather.
It looks like it, but it's
paper,
not.
but it's made.
So the way I related this to the Pulp show is that I made mini journals. That I'm going to have these on for sale. I made, this would be Richard Wentworth, who we know as the Spider. This would be the property of Kent Allard, or if you prefer, Lamont Cranston.
The shadow.
That would be his, but this is basically a shadow notebook. And then this is Clark Savage, the Doc Savage, his book. So let's open it up and see what's inside.
Yes,
so
let's.
In Richard Wentworth's The Spider, he has a handy toe tag here in case that might come in handy on one of his adventures or capers, if you want to say. Okay, so this, again, my book of matches. Now, we all know that the Spider, he used a lighter, right? But he met Nita Van Sloan on a steamship, and she slipped him her phone number inside a book of matches. So there's one of those in every book. And they're you know, I have just a handful of each one, and they're all going to be basically the same, but they're all going to be different because everything is handmade. So he has a receipt from something he purchased in France in here, and this is an ad for Lacey's department store, which is the subject in one of the stories, takes place in Lacey's. This is pretty cool. This is a picture of our ace. He was a pilot in France in World War I. This is from 1918. And here we have a beautiful photo of Nita. She's painting. Here's her easel. You can see the reflection. She's holding the paintbrush. And this is taken in France. Now this is pretty cool. This is a file. And inside the file he has a print. He's got to check that out. And he's got some of the subjects from his books, and here are the subject cards. Let me keep that in here. And this is an envelope, and let's see what's inside the envelope. Nice. Oh, we have some identification. Richard Wentworth. This is he was in the FBI. His alter ego, Blinky McQuaid. This is his business card. He was a locksmith expert. He had some troubles. He's known as Rupert Barton in Scotland Yard, and this is his ID card from Scotland Yard.
And all of these names and everything are accurate as far as the characters and the pulps go. The names that you're putting in here are accurate from doing research on the characters.
From the pulps, yeah. Well, yes. If you're a Spider fan, you're going to know that.
Right.
Okay. So that's in there. Let's see what else we have. We just have some random images from the pulps, which I love. And here we have the Spider. And there he is. Master of Men. He has his... Cool. This is a disguise locker key, which he always has handy disguises. Some more illustrations. And then here... has a spare mask. Never know when that's going to come in handy. Stick that back in there. And then he has This is a note, thieves shall be robbed. This is from a cover of one of the pulps. Actually, it says that. And this here is it's a concealed paper clip. It's a bookmark, basically. So you can use this as a bookmark. You just stick it on, and it will hold everything in place. So that's the spider. This is the shadows. They're all, you know, similar format. We'll have different things in here. This is also taken from the cover of a pulp. This is an illustration. This is an advertisement on hypnotism, because the shadow was interested in hypnotism and I believe used it.
He had the power to cloud men's minds.
Right. Here is a book of matches from the Cobalt Club. And somebody wrote, "Lost your best friend?" That's not nice. Here's a beautiful picture. Let's see, who is this? Oh, Kent Allard and Cliff Marsland in France in 1918. Yeah, they were together in the war. That's how they met, but a lot of their adventures have been lost, so this is a very rare photo of them. And now we have, whoa, Margot Lane, New York City, 1933. Woohoo! Woohoo, Margot. Let's see, he's got a file also. Who's in here? He's got Sherwin Khan and Benedict Stark, also known as Prince of Evil. and the stamps are their appearances in, you know, very few characters were reappeared in the shadow, but these guys are two of them that they were hard to beat. He also has some IDs. Let's see his ID. He's got one for Kent Allard and Lamont Cranston. They look alike.
This is so cool.
So it's meant for you actually to add some of your own stuff. This is an article on ballistics, which he would want to know about because he did use guns, sometimes two at one time. This is an actual ad. It's a photocopy of an actual ad about their warning that there is not enough felters around to satisfy the supply. If you were interested in getting your hat cleaned, you better hurry up and do it. This says, "Who knows what secrets lurk in the hearts of men? The shadow knows."
Open it wider. Yeah.
He has his address book also. And this is a really cool picture. This picture I found of this guy. I think he looks just like the shadow. I mean, if you take something and you cover his mouth, like just the eyes and the nose, it's really pretty cool. And again, here's one of those bookmarks. Everyone has one. And finally, I have the Clark Savage. This is Doc Savage's book, which we know he was raised to be the perfect superhuman. Here's he was a neurosurgeon. He did surgery on one of his guys to help him because he needed some brain surgery, right? One of them, Remy, was it? One of them, I don't remember who. And here's his Hidalgo Trading Company business card. It's an illustration and the stuff. Again, Hidalgo bookmark. Now he's got a lot of books in his because he loved to read and he was well versed in a lot of things. This is Atlas of the Worlds. He would have a lot of books and a lot of notes. This is a very good picture. This is...
Now, where did you find these pictures, these old photographs? What kind of research did you do?
This is him with the Fab Five. Well, these are World War I pilots, and I was trying to I had to find 6 pilots because he has 5 companions. These coffee stains are intentional to make everything look like it's old. In this secret file, this is not his foes. These are his subjects, his agents that he can. So it has Monk, It has Ham. We have Long Tom, Johnny, Rennie, and Pat. Patricia Savage, his cousin. She also worked with them sometimes, and she was very enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one is funny. This was his IDs. I used the model, Steve Holland.
I didn't know Steve Holland.
Of the Doc Savage paperbacks.
I didn't know Steve Holland was
image.
Doc Savage.
So this is his.
Could have been though.
His pilot's identification. So you get that in the envelope. It's funny. It was really fun to make these. So this one, okay, they all have a pop out. This is Doc Savage's like motto or a quote or whatever. And then this has the Fortress of Solitude.
Open it wider. Yeah.
Fortress of Solitude is in here.
Pre-Superman.
This is another little journal, mini journal, but it's a celestial handbook, so it's about the stars. It's got planets and stuff, because he would have studied that also. And then in the back, I have a really cool picture. This is Patricia Savage. It says the fall of 1932, just before takeoff. With, again, a bookmark. And then finally, I have something I'm calling Pulp Buddy. I made these so that I know it stems from my fear of touching pulps and handling them. I mean, they're so delicate and fragile. And so what I decided to try to do is make a way for you to carry one or two, like say if you're reading it or you're bringing it to work or you're carrying it on the train or something. I wanted to have a way that you could just stick a pulp or two, and then you could carry it with you, and you don't have to worry about touching it, handling it while you're transporting it. It's pretty secure. And I made a matching bookmark for each one and a tiny little notepad in case you wanted to take some kind of notes and whatever. I liked to have a little pocket here. And it has a little Pulp Buddy book plate, so you could write your name in here so no one else could steal your Pulp Buddy. And I have various covers on them. They're all pretty much, this is a receipt, a bogus receipt for, as if the person, because a couple of times I had pulps and I actually found the original receipt that the person purchased it inside of the pulp. So this is actually copied of one of those receipts that I have. I just printed it up on my computer exactly the way that receipt looked, and then I wrote that it was for a Detective Fiction Weekly, and it was 10 cents, and they paid in the 30s. So that's it. That's all I got. I hope to see you guys at Pulp Adventurecon. Should be hopefully it's a great show. It's a little wishy-washy because, like I said, if you don't pay attention, like Gary didn't even realize it right at first that it was, he just doesn't even look at it. It's like, oh, it's Pulp Adventurecon, and just assumed it was going to be that Saturday, and it's not. Everything is different. So just make sure you check, look in our description, or go on their website, which will also have a link in the description. And I hope to see you there. And next time you'll see Gary.
Thank you, Lucille.
Thanks.
Over and out. Doc Savage, Spider, and Shadow. Yes, Commander. Bye-bye.